Salut tout le monde, bon, bah écoutez, on va enchaîner avec le chapitre 6.
Who goes there? That nightmare again. I need a drink.
On va peut-être fouiller un peu le manoir avant de descendre. Parce que dès que... Ou quoique, non, on fouillera peut-être après.
You're awake, Mr. Pierce. How do you feel?
Did I sleep long?
The day is only starting. It's fine.
How's our fugitive? Dr. Fuller hasn't reported your disappearance to the force, but that'll come soon.
Bradley?
Who else would it be?
Mr. Pierce, are you all right? You look like you saw a ghost.
Eh ben...
There are things I can't explain.
Tell us. What happened?
Dommage. Ça aurait pu être marrant.
I have flashbacks. They haunt me.
What did they do to you?
There was that Dr. Fuller. And a nurse. Blood. Everywhere. My legs. Pain. I couldn't bear it. I was screaming. They injected me with something. I woke up at the Institute. Bradley was there.
And how you scared us. You seemed... demented.
You likely woke up during the anesthesia. No wonder those memories haunt you. What in God's name were they doing to you?
What happened afterwards?
When I woke up the second time, I was in a padded cell. That's where you found me, Doctor. After you released me, I got a good look at what's in store for the patients of the Riverside Institute. Hallucinogenic gas pumped into the cells. An infernal machine. Horrific medical experiments.
Impossible. Dr. Fuller would never do such a thing.
You should believe it, Ethan. What Mr. Pierce saw is precisely what I've been trying to prove. Did you discover anything else?
Ouais, ça c'est dommage aussi. Parce que bon, je sais pas si c'était une hallucination ou quoi, mais on l'a quand même vu mourir en direct.
What I'm sure of now is that the Hawkins case isn't just an accident.
And what brings you to that conclusion?
The fact that Charles Hawkins survived the fire.
I don't understand. Mr. Hawkins was buried.
That's what he would have you believe.
I have a hard time believing you.
You were there, Bradley. You even opened fire on him.
I'd remember that.
Why would he fake his own death? Do you think he covered up his wife's murder?
That's possible.
Seems hard to swallow. Don't you have anything more concrete, Pierce?
Bradley, what do you remember?
I don't understand your question.
The night we went into the Hawkins mansion. You don't seem to remember the tunnels and what occurred there.
No memory of going down any tunnel. No, we were in the manor, then,
Then what?
the rest is quite blurry. I don't recall how I came back home.
And then?
I went to visit you at the hospital and called on Marie's help to get you released.
And you don't remember the events of the time?
I don't. Let's talk about something else.
I heard you talking earlier.
Why am I not surprised?
I get the impression you two don't get along.
Intrusive and not very clever. Anyway, let's get back to the business at hand.
I met a Francis Sanders. You know him?
Of course, he's a patient. Or was. I haven't seen him since Dr. Fuller had him transferred to the basement.
He knew Sarah Hawkins. And that's what killed him.
What? How did he die?
I'm not sure I can explain it.
Tell me how Mr. Sanders died.
I didn't see what, but something was there with us.
Of what do you speak?
Sanders said it was Sarah Hawkins' visitor. He spoke of it like a living being.
Sarah Hawkins? Have I missed something here? This makes no sense. I don't see how it can help crack the Hawkins case.
You really think she's involved? How could she have murdered Mr. Sanders?
Francis Sanders mentioned Mrs. Hawkins just before dying. It's no coincidence.
You know, Francis Sanders was a well-known art collector. I guess you can still pay a visit to his wife, Irene Sanders.
An art collector, you say? That's probably how they met.
If you plan on having dinner at the Sanders household, please spare the widow the tale of her late husband's suffering.
I don't agree. She deserves the truth.
But that truth may be biased. We don't know the bottom of it.
Tout à fait d'accord. Je recommande de rester prudent. Et je tenais à ajouter que là, je pouvais rien faire pour le codage des sous-titres. Alors, si c'était pas très lisible, ben, je suis désolé, mais c'est pas ma faute.
You're right. Without a plausible explanation for what I saw, let's not jump to conclusions.
That seems wise indeed.
Very well. I'll go to see Francis's widow. Perhaps I'll find a link between her husband's death and Sarah Hawkins.
Don't end up in the hospital this time.
I'll do my best.
Ouais. C'était un choix assez, bon, pas déterminant, mais qui avait son importance.
The other night's events are still confused in my head.
Ouais.
Let us go
C'est
now
assez
and learn the
nébuleux comme
truth about
passage.
what's happening on this island.
Mais bon, si je pense que certains ont dû suivre ce que l'espèce de deuil juste en début de chapitre, savoir exactement ce que c'est. Mais j'en parlerai un peu plus tard. Je pense pas avoir manqué quoi que ce soit dans le manoir, mais j'ai quand même vérifié. Prendre 10 minutes. Au moins, ça devrait être suffisant. Ah, on peut partir par là aussi. Je préfère partir par la porte principale, c'est plus fun. Ah si. Là, on a le choix de boire un petit coup de whisky. Mais je vais éviter. J'ai bien raison. Il est un petit peu plus étendu ce chapitre 6. Moi, je sous-entends qu'on n'est pas confiné dans un endroit ou même en pleine nature. Non, c'est bouge. Ça commence dans le
What can I
manoir,
do for
ensuite.
you,
Voilà.
sir?
Mrs. Sanders, I'm a private detective. We must talk about your husband and his ties to Sarah Hawkins. Can I come in?
You may. However, before we go any further, please know that my husband died yesterday.
That is precisely what brings me here.
Well,
Tiens.
look who's here. You know each other.
Our paths crossed, briefly. The brave detective has a talent for sticking his nose into my business.
I bump into her every time I'm investigating someone's death.
It's a small island, Detective. My island. It's better that it's you bumping into me.
You're investigating Francis' death. Why? Who hired you?
I spoke to Francis before he died. His story suggests a link to a case I'm working on.
Well, since this business has got nothing to do with me, I'll be in your husband's office, Irene. We'll carry on later.
Very well, Miss Baker. This way, Mr. Pierce. And do make yourself comfortable. It would seem that you have much to tell me. May I inquire as to when you had the opportunity to talk to my husband?
Yesterday, I met him at the hospital. He spoke to me about Sarah Hawkins.
Oh, of course he spoke to you about her. That's all he talked about. Sarah Hawkins and her paintings. Please forgive my tone. The fact is that I have not been allowed to see him since he was interned. You, on the other hand, a perfect stranger, were able to see him and even talk with him the day he died. How was he? Were you present when he had this attack? What happened?
He started raving, screaming that a dimensional shambler had found him.
Oh, mercy, that story again. Why have him interned?
That was when he began to convulse and twist with pain. Or terror, it's hard to tell.
Je me passe en 2 secondes.
I beg your pardon?
I'm not really sure of what I saw, or what I didn't see. But it's best that you weren't there.
I should have been there. What you're telling me is outrageous. I need to understand. How could this happen? In a reputed institute? And right before your eyes? Did you not do anything to help him?
With all due respect, Mrs. Sanders, it was you who sent him to this asylum, not me.
How dare you? What was I supposed to do, Detective? Upon seeing such a brilliant mind disintegrate in this way, waking with a start every night with him shrieking in horror, petrified before this accursed painting, unable to look away, until he managed to gouge his eyes out with his own hands. I should have listened to Dr. Fuller, let him intern him months ago. If I am to be condemned, it is because I did not act sooner.
I'm not here to condemn you, Mrs. Sanders.
Oh, I'm tired, Mr. Pierce. I would be grateful if you could tell me what you expect of me, and then leave.
May I ask you what
Qu'est-ce
Miss
qu'a fait là?
Baker
C'est vrai
is
ça?
doing here? How do you know her?
My business with Miss Baker is private, Mr. Pierce.
But you do know what kind of business Miss Baker is in, don't you?
I am no fool. Please believe that much, at least.
Did your husband talk to you about Sarah Hawkins' visitor? A shambler, to use his precise terms.
Well, you can't imagine that's all he talked about. It's exhibited at the center of the gallery. No better place for the painting that endowed him with the privilege of such a shameful and miserable end to his life.
Hold on. The Shambler is a painting by Sarah Hawkins.
Who else to paint such horrors? Take a look for yourself, if you feel so inclined.
It is my only lead at this stage. I suppose I have nothing to lose.
Then you have paid no heed. For my part, I refuse to set foot in that gallery again. But if you're so eager to see it...
Thank you, Mrs. Sanders. I won't be long.
Excellente idée, en jeter un œil au tableau.
Did she really care for him after all? The day the Shambler came into the Sanders' lives. Frances Sanders and Sarah Hawkins were close. Friends, even?
Voyons voir. Je m'en rappelle
The
pas.
House of Artists. Sanders' accession register. He wrote beside the Shambler. Finally. What did Sarah Hawkins fear so much that she didn't want to sell a painting? He finally won. Was Sanders aware of his imminent doom? She first refused to sell the painting. How did that make her feel? Was she jealous of Sarah Hawkins?
Ouais. Ça picote. Ça aussi, ça picote.
The Shambler. I need to see it.
Ouais, le mec il vient de s'arracher les yeux devant la toile et le gars il veut aller voir la toile. Bon. Oh oui, de la culture. On aime ça, la culture. J'ai pas calculé ça. Eh mais j'avais pas... J'avais pas fait gaffe à ça. savez quoi, je suis de source sûre que qu'il n'y a pas de trophée en rapport avec le piano. Mais vous pariez combien qu'il y a un Easter en rapport? Sauf que j'y comprends rien au piano. Faudrait qu'un mec essaye de... Je sais pas, de faire l'air du jeu ou... Du thème du jeu, je veux dire. Bref, on va enchaîner.
Let's see what this cylinder has to say once it's inserted in a phonograph.
Irene, I made a mistake. I fear that it might be too late for me. Nobody should enter, except to burn everything. I never had the courage. Pay somebody to do it. He's inside my head. I see him behind my eyelids. Each time I shut my eyes.
Wow.
I can't take anymore. I can't hold him back. Forgive me.
Francis, I should never let them take you away. What have I done? Everything is my fault.
Et ouais, je suis un bâtard, je la fais culpabiliser.
Irene, I made a mistake. I fear that it might be too
Mais
late.
si je l'ai fait, c'est pas pour rien.
Nobody should enter, except the burn.
J'ai mes raisons, comme je vous l'ai dit.
I never had the courage. Pay somebody to do it. He's inside my head. I see him behind my eyelids. Each time I shut my eyes. I can't take anymore. I can't hold it back.
The strange Amerindian pendant.
Ça, c'est du bon.
I could use one of those.
Des somnifères. Il y a une collecte de somnifères à faire dans tout le jeu. Et je les ai pas tous ramassés.
Strange. For months, Sarah Hawkins refused to part with her painting, to finally give it away for nothing. Another volume of the Reverend's wife's diary.
Désolé, j'ai peut-être été trop vite. Mais bon, rien ne nous empêche de retourner en arrière et d'appuyer sur pause. Bon. Alors oui, on va consulter le livre. Malgré que ce soit pas une bonne idée. Ceci affectera votre destin.
That's twice you've stepped on my toes, Detective. Try not to make a habit of it.
I've got a lot of bad habits.
Some can be more fatal than others. What have you come looking for in this gallery?
Oh, putain. C'est ça.
I have a well-off client in Boston who heard about the death of Francis Sanders and wanted me to size up his estate before making an offer to his widow.
Nice story. Bad lie. Learn how to dupe, Detective. But as long as you keep out of my way, you're free to carry on with your visit.
There's more than that, Miss Baker.
So people have been talking behind my back. I was almost beginning to like you, Mr. Pierce. But it stays cat for you.
You knew the Sanders?
Irene is a friend of mine.
Ça c'était bête un peu comme dialogue parce que depuis le début, Bradley, quand on sort de l'entrepôt, il l'appelait Baker déjà. Donc on se fait parfaitement qu'il s'appelait Baker. Bref, voilà, c'est juste...
And you? What brings you to the Sanders home?
I'm here on business. Irene asked me to liquidate all these paintings. She doesn't intend to hang around here for long.
Why you?
Believe it or not, there aren't many collectors on Darkwater. It needs someone with a network and a means of transport to the mainland. A choice that comes down to Fitzroy and me. And I'm far more pleasant, wouldn't you say?
Il y a une jolie collection de dagues ici.
These artifacts date from pre-Columbian times. The man transformed an entire wing of his manor into an art gallery.
Ça valait le coup d'œil. Je vous fais faire une visite de la galerie. Vous avez vu le tableau en arrière-plan. Vous allez le voir tout à l'heure.
The public entrance to the gallery. Why was he so interested in old weapons?
Ouais, c'est spécial comme style. De peinture, je veux dire. what the fuck complet. Jeez. Bon, on enchaîne. Ça, très important.
Is this dagger part of Sanders' collection, or was he seeking to acquire it?
Je vérifie une chose et on enchaîne. Alors. Désolé. Nope. Je crois que c'est ça.
Why was he so interested in old weapons?
C'est ça. Allez, go. Le vagabond. What the fuck?
What the hell was that?
Ah là, c'est une séquence d'infiltration pire que tout.
Damn. This dagger looks different.
Vous vous doutez que j'ai pas pris cette dague par hasard? Mais lâche-moi, saleté!
What's the matter with you? You sure you won't be needing that hand? You're losing it, Detective. At this rate, you're right. The bottle will get you before I do.
Mais il a vu.
You didn't see anything.
I saw you within an inch of putting a dagger through your forearm. Did I miss something more interesting?
Ouais.
It's nothing. I think I just drank too much.
Ouais, je vais pas voir
That
leurs
goes
mains
without
ouf.
saying. If you can't tell the difference between reality and fiction, then you're in real trouble.
My arm was disappearing into this painting. You must have seen that.
I saw you put your trembling hands on a collector's artifact. Where do you think you're going with that dagger?
It saved my life. It's an extraordinary dagger.
You should
Oh,
talk
oui,
to
c'est ma
Algernon
dague.
Drake. He's an antique dealer here on Darkwater. He'll tell you all about it.
Ah bon.
From what I saw in the ledgers, it was him who sold it to Sanders.
Ouais.
Creature.
Qui ont juste
His
Drake.
dagger was the only weapon capable of pushing it back. If Hawkins was trying to get rid of this shambler, she might have made contact with Drake. This antique dealer has a good knowledge of the occult. I have nothing to lose by meeting him.
You've got your spunk back. Go where you want. I'm staying here to talk business with Irene.
Nous qui adorons les bouquins. On va pouvoir se donner à cœur joie. Ça va faire plein de skills, c'est cool. Mais ça sera pour la prochaine fois. Allez, ciao les gars, à plus tard.